Welcome to part 2 of this interview with Hawks coach Danny MacKriel. In this interview, I'll be talking to Danny about the injuries the team has gone through and how they've managed to get through this tough period. And there's only one to start off with, and that's got to be the injury that you sustained, not quite ice hockey related, but what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, my appendix. I came down with a horrible flu anyway during the week. Phoned in work, the normal sickness routine, and all of a sudden pain was started to develop around my stomach area. Then couldn't get into the doctor, so I was just eating paracetamols really to stop the pain. And then when I eventually got to see the doctor, he said, "Oh, you've got an acute appendicitis. You need to get yourself to hospital." So that's about it really. They took it out. I was there for a long time in terms of waiting, and then they rushed me through to theatre and whipped them out, and that was it really. So
Bed down for a while, I'm guessing, after it.
Yeah, it was difficult as well at the time really, from a personal point of view, because we'd just moved house and everything else, so it was a bit of a nightmare, but these things happen. I've got an understanding wife, let's say to speak, who did a lot of the graphs, so I must say thank you to her for that.
And I believe, I could get my dates wrong, but 1 or 2 weeks after this operation, you kitted up for the first time this year.
Yeah, stupidly enough.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was that all about, but was that part of the plan?
No, not really. We were short again. I thought that we could roll 3 sets of forwards when I put my kit on, so that's what I did. I didn't do much in that game. I
wasn't there, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't one of my finest performances, but it meant that we could roll 3 lines of forwards, and lucky enough, the rest of the boys plugged the gap and pulled through, and we got another good victory up in Solway, so that was pleasing.
How did you find that? Because obviously you got used to being on stand on the bench doing the coaching, and then all of a sudden...
it was difficult, yeah, extreme. I haven't trained since last season, so it was extremely difficult, and then plus the added factor of trying to run the bench and coach the rest of the team. It's a hard task, and probably not one that I favour, in fairness.
A lot of injuries that we seem to have sustained this year have been to the defence, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Really kind of putting pressure on the ones that have been fit. Is that what kind of sparked the re-signing of Reese? The fact that, hang on a minute, we've only got 4 fit D-men, we need a 5th here as backup.
We went down to 3. We went down to 3 D-men, yeah, and throughout the summer Reese was coming on, and he was all scheduled to sign for us at the start of the year. Whatever happened then. And he hadn't agreed anything, so we couldn't sign him. And then he contacted me at the time just before we went down to 3, and I said we'll come back on to practice, and what he did. And then obviously we went down to 3, so we'd signed Reese as another body really, and I thought he's been doing extremely well, and his attitude as well in the room, and he's well liked and everybody knows him, and he wants to improve, he wants to get better at playing hockey, and that's something really as a coach you've got to admire from somebody such a young age as well. So.
Can you see a difference is it about 18 months I think it was when he left, the difference between the two, how he's been since then?
Yeah, I think he's matured a lot as a player. I think he's still got a way to go, and I think Reese will probably be the first person to tell you that as well, and he's still got a lot of work to do. But as long as he's prepared to put in the work, and not just on the ice but off the ice, then he will develop, and he knows that, and I believe that he will do it, and it'd be good to see him, seeing how he develops and goes further in the game really.
Max Strakely picked up a nasty injury at training. It's got to be a few months ago now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And kind of out of the blue from our perspective, he was on the ice training against Whitley. Was that a surprise to get him back so quickly after that injury?
It was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
Very nice surprise. Again, somebody we brought in the summer who we looked at and could make a real difference to the defence, and I think he's done outstandingly well. Partnership with Kim on the second line D. But it's one of those things, and what happened with his shoulder, but when he came back I was reluctant to put him straight back in, and that's what we agreed. And then we got a few penalties in Whitley, and again we were back down to short on numbers at the back, so Max stepped up and again did an excellent job, and he's carried on and pushed on from there really.
Yeah, watching him at that game, you wouldn't have thought he'd had a month or so out and that there was any sort of injury to his shoulder. He just came in straight away.
Yeah, it's because he's a good hockey player, and he knows what's what. He reads the game really well. He keeps things simple, and he moves and he's got a good first pass, so 9 times out of 10 it gets him out of any danger.
And unfortunately, kind of sod's law as you will, with Max returning that game, Ollie Lomax, being the player he is, getting in front of the puck, takes one on the wrist and breaks his wrist, or does some sort of serious damage which has ruled him out for a few months.
It's a real shame as well for Ollie, because at the start of the year we paired him on the third line D, and that was nothing to say anything about his playing ability, but it was to keep, so we had 3 sets of good lines of defencemen. Obviously with the injuries he moved up to partner Chris on the first, and he was outstanding. I thought he's kept his head in the games, and he was really, really good. And then it's such a massive shame for the lad, because obviously the injuries kept him out, and because of his performance levels are so high, he'll come back stronger. He'll come back and improve the team when he's fully fit. So
there's been a lot of positive things you said about the Hawks team at the moment, but I think one of the number one things is that with the injuries you suffered in defence, no matter who's been paired together, they've clicked, they've done well and got the job. Because with all the injuries that we've happened so far, it doesn't really feel like you've felt your best lines in defence yet. Forwards, it's kind of stayed the same, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
But defence, because of injuries,
we've had to rotate round, and I think we could pair any of our D partners up, to be fair, and they'd all be able to play well together. We're lucky to have that. I think when Ollie's back, we're back to 7D, so each and every defenceman will be playing for a regular spot, and if one's not performing, then we've got somebody then who can fill in. So then that's the challenge then to the seven defencemen, really, to put them up. So.
And lastly, to end on, obviously apart from Ollie, any other injuries you can really tell us about?
No, apart from all, we're all good now. Yeah,
it's got a bit of a sigh of relief.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's nice.
Well, thank you very much for part 2 interview, and stay tuned for part 3.
Thank you.